Hello guys, and welcome back to another Tweaker Man video. When did you first realise that you was an audiophile? Well, I first realised it goes back to the old computers of the early 80s. One Christmas I got bought by my parents an Oric 1, which was made by a company called Tangerine. And the only tape player that fitted it was a Panasonic, small tape player, mono. And it fitted to the, connected to the Oric 1 with a DIN plug. So basically connected it all up, started loading in games, fine. And then as I collected more games, some of them wouldn't load. And so I thought, oh, the heads need cleaning. So I tried to clean the heads, nothing worked. So in the end I decided I'd take it apart. So I took off the whole case of the cassette deck. Well, it wasn't a cassette deck, it was a cassette player. And as I took the top, the lid off, there was the tape heads. Basically, I was looking at the tape heads, there were a couple of screws either side of it. So basically, I started adjusting the screws. And what it did, it adjusted the frequency range of the noise that came from the cassette. And then basically I found that I could start loading in some of the games. So what I did is I had to alter the head every time, the screw on the head, every time I played different games. Some of them all worked on the same frequency, other ones didn't. So basically that was the first thing. So then, as I was a schoolboy, we used to go to school and we all used to swap albums around, vinyl albums, or LPs as they're known as. And so one of my friends would lend me an LP and I'd record it on my parents' music centre. And it always used to sound awful. And I used to think, this is terrible, it sounds awful. And one of my best friends, his dad was into hi-fi, had some Marantz stuff, Marantz tape player, and I can't remember, some trio speakers, I'm not sure the makes now from those days. And basically, I used to say to him, my recordings sound awful. So I used to go to his and he'd record it for me, come back sounding brilliant. So then I found myself taking my parents' music centre apart one day when they were out. I thought, I'm going to take this apart. So what I did, I took it apart and I had an old tape player in the garage, like a stereo one, like a ghetto blaster, as they was known in those days. And I basically unsoldered the heads out of the ghetto blaster and unsoldered the heads out of the music centre, then soldered the ghetto blaster heads into the music centre, thinking, that's it, there was something wrong with those heads, this is going to work brilliantly now. So then what happened was I recorded it again. It still sounded awful. So I thought, what's going on here? But the long and short of it was just the stylus that needed changing. So that was that. So then basically got fed up with the gaming side of things and then started moving on to some music and that, buying a few albums and that on vinyl. And then that was when I first got my first system. And it was only a really basic system. There was a shop in Great Britain at the time called Tandy's. And at the time they had like a little amplifier in there, a really small one. It was about 5 watts per channel and a tuner that matched it. I've still got the tuner, the one that I used for soldering the plugs on. And then there was a hi-fi shop in London somewhere, and it used to advertise in What Hi-Fi Sound and Vision magazine, what was actually just called What Hi-Fi in those days. And I went to this shop and I managed to purchase the Marantz TT 130 turntable. And that worked really well. And then I was up in, because I originally originated from Islington, North London. And basically I used to go up to see my nan every Saturday, who lived there still. And I managed to save up some money from my paper rounds. And I went up to Tottenham Court Road. I'm looking around the shops, thinking I'm going to get a small set of speakers. I can't remember how much I paid for them now anyway. So I walk into this one shop, and they've just got a stack of these big Akai speakers. They were like, they had a woofer in it, a mid-range, and it was a three-way speaker and a tweeter at the top. I couldn't believe my eyes, and I thought, how much were they? They were so cheap, and I bought a pair, and I managed to get them back on the London bus back to Islington from up in Tottenham Court Road. And I couldn't believe my luck, basically. So then what I did is I set those up and I used them at home. And you know, as a schoolboy, I thought they sounded really good. And when I left school, I got my first job. I decided I want to do some upgrades and that. So then that's when I bought my first real amp, which was a NAD 320E. And then after that I purchased a Marantz CD50, which was the CD player I was using. At the time I'd sort of moved away from vinyl. I'd got rid of the Marantz, although I kept all my vinyl, but I started using CD like everyone else did. And I bought myself a pair of Goodman's Maxim 2 speakers, and I wired them up with something called Monster cable, which now, looking back, was actually quite dreadful, but it was what was going around at the time. So I worked out, I must have become an audiophile around about 1987. I've always been very good at repairing bits of hi-fi stuff, taking stuff apart. Then after that system, my second system I call it, I moved on to a bit more better equipment. I bought myself an Arcam 9 and a 9P, which I'm actually using the Arcam 10 and the 10P now, but at the time I bought that. And I also bought a CD player. It was a Pioneer, I think it was a PDP 505 precision tuned. And then I sent it away to a company called Tom Evans Audio Design, and he changed the clock in it and put a separate power supply in just to run the clock on its own. And then I moved on to some monitor audio speakers. I think they were called Gold 2s at the time. They were a bit bass-like for me, so I moved on from them fairly quickly. So basically after that, around about 2000, I started making my own cables. That's why I wanted to share my knowledge of everything that I've learnt with you guys. When did you first realise you was an audiophile, and what sort of system did you have as a first system? I'm always interested in what other people collected and what pieces of equipment they had and when they started. I mean, some people started in the 70s. I mean, I was a bit too young in the 70s, but I'm more of an 80s boy, early 80s to mid 80s. So yeah, post all your comments below and let me know what sort of equipment you used, and turntables, CD players, even cassette decks, and whether you used an array of cables and what cables you used. And so yeah, okay, thank you for watching another Tweaker Man video. If you like these videos, don't forget to press the like button, and if you're new to my channel, don't forget to subscribe. Thanks for watching.